Hello, everyone. Like Goody just said, my name is Daniel de Guzman, and this is my teammate Alex Akim. And the game that we are presenting is called Might and Blade. So, Might and Blade is a game that combines fast, fun, flighty, arcadey, hack and slash action, but also adds in an element of, or has like a breadth of skills and different abilities that can enhance different tactics and is conducive to gameplay that is fun yet very tactical and has a lot of diverse combat options. So the inspirations for our game are games like Torchlight, Diablo, as well as other hack and slash games such as Ninja Gaiden, God of War, and even harkens back to older hack and slash games such as Gauntlet or the older Diablo games. So the features we want to add within our game are different types of weapons and skills, and the art style we want to implement is one that's cartoony and as well as kind of chibified in a way, but not exactly realistic. So that's the kind of art style we want to implement, and we feel like that's the most conducive to the type of tone we want to come across for our game. So here we have a small video of the demo that we have right now.
So our game is basically like WASD controls, and the mouse movement is basically where the character will be looking around, and left clicking will be like attacking, defending, all that. Defense is a block, as that's when the little shields came up. We have all our little controls set up and everything. There'll be like traps and stuff, environments the player can use to their advantage or be an unfortunate victim of. Also, there'll be like little potions on the ground too to help you throughout the world as you explore it. There's multiple paths as well. In the beginning, you saw him take a right instead of left. In the other way, there's like more abundance of enemies and like bigger crates and stuff you can use as like platforms. And unfortunately, as you can see, we had like not enough resources to make our ranged enemies be like different like variations or anything like that. They're just our melee guys coming up, and as you saw with the melee guys, they are they have like a little timer swing, so like you can plan when to dodge them. We wanted this to be very like tactile, combat focused, where like your combat is very just like every step you do can like get you killed or can help you, and yeah. This is just the second part of our first level. We already have 2 levels fully completed.
Yeah, so that was a snippet of the game that we have so far. So what we want to add for the future is we want to add in multiple different weapons that each perform and handle differently. So it gives players a medley of options to whether they want to fight, how they want to fight enemies, whether they want to go for a fast and flighty style or a heavy kind of clubbing style. And we'll also have multiple skills within our game, like you probably saw earlier, the AoE ground smash attack. So we want to have multiple skills within the game that can also alter how you play and as well as your tactical decisions regarding like their cooldowns, resource management, and what have you. So whichever way you play, whether you're looking just to play a fast kind of like arcadey feel or you want to really get into it to kind of like, make it so you don't die or play very tactical, each play style will be accommodated with our weapon and combat system. So the proposed project duration is we want to have it over a semester, and this is the kind of scope that we're setting. So it all feeds into the story of the game, which is you are a part of an organization that's tasked with vanquishing evil from after a dictator named Nefario has been felled. The city has been kind of revisioned into a utopia, and you are part of a military force that helps defend the city until recently you find news that he springs up once again, and this whole kind of path is and story is like kind of bigger than what you are. So it's about self-actualization as well as you realizing your character's potential. So the target platforms we have is we want to target Steam because we feel like that was that's the best avenue for our approach was releasing it online and not in a physical format. So what we need is we're mostly looking for more the technical side, such as VFX artists, programmers, UI and level combat design, as well as riggers. But we would welcome artists as well, since our aesthetic is one that requires a lot of like hand painted textures. So if that's something you're looking to kind of increase or like devote your time to, this would be a good project to join, as you know we have an environment that's an art style aesthetic that's conducive to your work, and you can actually implement it into something, you know, like a big project, which would be pretty cool, pretty cool. And now we'll open the floor to some questions. That's our presentation for Might and Blade.
Hello.
Hello.
My big question is, when you started off, you talked about Diablo and those games kind of meets Ninja Gaiden and God of War, and I definitely got the Diablo Legend of Zelda, but being PC only and mouse keyboard, like how do you plan on getting the control scheme to give you the depth of the combos and stuff to get towards that God of War, Ninja Gaiden combo system?
Oh, one thing I should have actually explained early in the presentation is that the combat system, it's very fast and arcadey. We're trying to have an amalgam or like strike a nice balance between having it be very tactical as well as arcadey. So we use on the mouse, it's like the left click to attack and then right click to dodge. And each weapon has like an attack combo chain. Like that weapon, the sword and shield, has a 3-hit swing chain. But in between each hit, there's like a timer or like a certain time where you can, you know, dodge roll out the way to cancel the animation. So we have like a lot of hidden kind of nuanced combat mechanics within our game.
Okay, so each weapon would kind of be, and that's where you got to when you talk about multiple weapons, that each weapon would basically have different time combos and things like that, or?
Yeah, precisely. So each weapon archetype has like its own kind of combo chain as well as damage range. So one that we kind of wanted to, that we also kind of concepted out was like a Zweihander bastard sword type of weapon archetype, which has very heavy, slow and cleaving, wide arcing attack cycles, but the attacks are very slow. But they also deal heavy damage and knock back enemies from the way we concepted and kind of designed these things. So whichever and weapons might accommodate you better when facing certain enemies, like slower enemies. You might want to have the slower weapon to like stagger their attacks and other options like that.
How many weapons do you have in your head, or do you think you'll get done?
How many weapon types we kind of plan on implementing within our game is would probably be one more. I figured that would be enough to kind of have like a nice array of different weapon types you use, because each weapon within a specific weapon archetype has its own different stats, damage types, and special moves. Like that sword and shield, for the demo purposes, the special move it had was if you block enough damage and satiate like the kind of meter requirement for it, you can do that AoE ground pound, which deals like a ton of damage to enemies, but you have to block a certain amount of damage. But every sword and shield has the blocking ability, whereas like the bastard sword archetype might have like a heavy like AoE attack that knocks enemies back. But each, yeah.
So in general, like 5 different weapons that you think you can get done this semester?
I figured 5 different weapons as well as 1 extra archetype.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Thank you very much.
What would your role be in the game?
My role within the game, well, this was the game that we created for the midpoint, and my role within that game was I was a 3D modeler. I modeled the characters. I programmed. I animated. I designed. So for for this one, I would plan on taking a more design-focused role, but I would also like to dip my hands within the with the art side of things, specifically modeling, since that's what my focus is.
And do you have anybody that you would want to be the lead like producer for the game?
Is that an application I hear? Yeah, we definitely would like to we'd be kind of all-encompassing and cover our bases with the strongest applicants we can find. So having a good producer would be very nice to kind of streamline the process, as well as kind of reduce any kind of confusion and make everything as clairvoyant and clear as possible.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, guys.
What's up?
How long are you guys planning? Do you guys want this to be like a 1 semester thing or a 2 semester thing? And how long do you guys think it'll take to get to polished, like finished state for sale?
Well, we're kind of in this for the long haul, so we want to have everything kind of be as polished as possible. That's why for our goal, we set it in kind of like a smaller scope. That way we can have more time to kind of focus and really nail down what we really want. But we want this to be like a fully fleshed out story. So anyone who's willing to work on it for as long as they'd want and as long as we'd want, we'd very much appreciate it. We're in it for like to kind of have like a fully fledged out story, but we want to really have like a nice solid foundation first. So that's mainly what we're building towards within the first semester.
I had one more as well.
Go for it.
Do you plan on, like Diablo and stuff, having different character like archetypes and stuff like that, like Demon Hunter or Healer or stuff like that?
Well, we figured that the archetypes would come from your weapon choices because the special abilities as well as like the how you fight comes mainly from the weapons. So each weapon has like a specific skill to it. So if you really want to be like a bruiser type, you'd pick weapons that accommodate that type of play style. So like mainly it's not coming from the character, it's coming mostly from the weapons that you choose.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey guys.
What's up,
So
Ellen?
my question is, for your 3 levels, how large are you planning each of those levels to be?
What I kind of envisioned was having each level kind of having like a central hub where you can kind of like attain resources and whatnot, but then there'd be like branching paths that lead into like the different. Yeah, you probably noticed that we had the branching paths earlier. That's a very kind of prototypical way of like how we viewed it, but we would want to have like long branching paths that it would have a kind of linearity to it, but mostly, but it'd have like the kind of hub type of level design setup akin to like Dishonored or the Hitman games.
Cool. And how long are you thinking that playtime in each level would be?
How long I believe each playtime or the playtime for each level would be, I feel like it would be around maybe like 30 minutes per level without exploration, because then we'd want to have like many like pockets of like combat zones when you enter in, and then like that's what the branching paths would be like conducive for, and it also provide opportunities for replayability, since what if I take this way, would I find a rare weapon versus what if I take this way, would I fight like a sub boss or secret boss or what have you. So yeah, or Easter eggs.
Sorry. And then like 2 half questions. What's your scope on enemies and traps as well?
Our scope on enemies and traps, well, for this one we had the simple skeleton enemy, which would be a base, but we'd probably want to reiterate that so that it would fit our aesthetic much better, because those are semi-realistic, but in a way, I guess. But we'd want to have like 2 different types of enemies. Well, like the foundation for the programming behind the simple enemy and the simple ranged enemy is there, so we'd like to add one more, maybe perhaps like a big brute to kind of like break up the combat and like provide different ways of approach and force them to perhaps think of different approaches or take different avenues.
Sweet pre-production! Exclamation point.
Nice.
Do you have any inspirations? It looks like a dungeon crawler akin to Gauntlet and the epic quest for mighty loot. And will there be a high-tier RPG elements?
To answer the first question, you probably heard us talking about our inspirations earlier. Various hack and slash games and dungeon crawler games. Gauntlet was one of the ones that I mentioned because I used to love playing that game as a kid. We would have like that's our kind of focus, or rather the kind of gameplay style that we'd want to nail, but also have our own spin on it, like our own take on it. And for the other question, I feel like having very progressive like RPG elements isn't in the initial design, as it might take away from the kind of arcadey feel, but later on I feel like that could be something that could be implemented to kind of increase like kind of like the player's interaction with the character rather than just what they pick, and feel like they can kind of spec out their options more.
Right. Next question. Will each level have its own unique style, or will they use the same environments?
Each level I feel like will have its own type of theme. They might not be so diverse, but they're each going to be, their functionality is to service the story first and foremost, but the story I feel like will offer like a wide range of like different types of environments that you'd explore. So yeah, I feel like they'd each not have like such diverse themes, but they would all have their own kind of certain charm and uniqueness to them.